pieces. Yeah. They're actually presented in the gallery as a box. So he set it up, photographed it. And then Lego produced the box for him so that you had these pieces in the gallery. Yeah. I found this recently from the prison in, how do you pronounce that? In Iraq. Yeah, in Iraq.
Abu Ghraib? Abu Ghraib?
That sounds good, yes. I grew up with a bunch of Robotech, though, the Japanese animation. Through this for a reference point. And I'm unfortunately hooked on MechWarrior PC video game. I don't take it online, but otherwise I'd never get anything done.
Me too.
Yeah. But I put this in to draw attention to the sort of changing atmosphere about how Canada represents itself sort of militaristically. This is from the official Canadian government website. Here we are, true North Star, free. I mean, I'm completely embracing that. I've always lived with those morals, but suddenly there's a new image being portrayed. This is from the Armed Forces website. It's all Canada in action now.
The new commercial.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like, CBC recently caught a radio drama on Afghanistan. It was really interesting because on one hand it is propaganda, on the other hand there's an uncertainty as to, we know we don't want to tell a strong kind of story. It was very convoluted kind of story, again broken down really to the individual and their experience in it. But I'd like to know whether or not there's been a war radio drama since World War II on the public. That again is a changing representation of our country. This is from the Canadian Armed Forces website. It's kind of upsetting.
Disturbing?
Yeah.
What? Showing a child?
Yeah. Here we have, field day at the local elementary school, So there's definitely something changing. I mean, we're in a day, this is a video game. I mean, it's become really real. So we're going to start defining those kind of differences between, what war is, what it is as a game. I certainly played Lego as a war game. But Lego did not produce guns when I was a kid in the 70s and in the 80s. They now, you go down to Toys R Us, and Lego is actually producing guns as part of their set. Yeah. I was very lucky to be there one time when there was the Lego representatives putting the new stock just before Christmas on the shelves. And I inquired about whether or not, what was going on. I don't remember guns being in Lego whatsoever. I mean, I made guns. God, we made guns out of sticks, right? But they said they were answering the need, that there were people that, consumers want guns, so we're going to make guns in Lego. These are pictures again from the Canadian website that are working in Afghanistan. This is Kandahar Gate, which I've gone and retold. And this piece that's on the wall over there. Again, if we bring it back down to the technology and the struggle between those with technology, those without technology, what we have is the triumphant arch, the gates of the city. We've seen those famous pictures. I can find a good one online of the Germans marching into Paris, then followed by the liberators and the Americans marching into Paris. And so there's this history of coming into the gate of the city, the victorious army. Or in this case, it's not so victorious. The heavily armed tank, sophisticated as it is stopped by what do they call it? A roadside bomb.
Improvised explosive device.
Exactly. You might notice
explosive device.
You might notice also, this thing Afghanistan, there's a lot of limbs missing. I mean, Afghanistan's been at war for a very long time. I picked up, I couldn't find it, it was moved recently, I couldn't find it, but I picked up at the Armed Forces office in Montreal, a beautiful little brochure, and when it explained how, it looked like a CD cover, it was absolutely fantastic. Fold out, nice cardboard, the whole thing. And one place it says, the people of Afghanistan asked Canada to bring them democracy and peace. And that's not the way I remember it. Maybe I need to go back to the books. But this is an example of how I come across making these. I shoot on blue screen. A friend of mine in school actually lent me the railroad. I never had the railroad when I was a kid. I always wanted the railroad when I was a kid. So he lent it to me, and I shoot on blue screen. I do repeated shots, try different things. I can then cut out all the bits in Photoshop. Plug this in from a piece I found on the internet from Iraq, oil fields on fire, and then work it back into it, do the foreground, background, so forth. And then I frame it myself. Do you have questions?
No, I was just listening.
Oh, okay. I don't mind questions, and I don't have to talk the whole time.
I have a question. But are you finished?
Oh, there's more, but go ahead.
Well, something you said at the beginning of your talk that you said, perhaps, I'm going to paraphrase.
No, that's okay. I don't
Is it morally, you said that the fine work with the wood,
Oh, yeah.
fine detail, time,
Yeah.
you know,
I was making high-end crafts.
you make
Yeah.
high craft, which was, took a long time. So do you find that there's, for you, a moral imperative that you should work on social justice causes as opposed to, right?
Yeah,
Creating.
I was having trouble finding
Yeah.
finding the selfish luxury essentially
Yeah,
to make
okay.
that kind. I mean, it was very rewarding to do, but at some point it reached where I was like, well, why am I making this?
Yeah, that you have to link
Yeah.
it more to.
Yeah, and I think somebody should be making art history, contemporary history. So I feel like that's what I'm doing now. And you know how it's similar. This work really emerged the same way that the sculpture work. I'd have like an embryonic idea that would plague me day in and day out that I just had to get out, and that's how these started with those first ones that were, the refugees essentially in front of the mechanized army. It was just this idea that I had this image in my head, I just had to find a way to get out. And then once I started doing it, I found it really rewarding. I mean, I spent the day in the studio playing with the Lego. I played with when I was a kid. And like I said earlier, it's the same thing. I play with the Lego, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the world in a safe kind of laboratory way. And then I just play in Photoshop and create my own images. So as I said earlier, I'm in my thesis year at Concordia, so I spent the summer experimenting also. And so I was trying some different configurations. This we have some sort of 50s landscape with, it's actually one of my colleagues' wireframe sculpture maquette. And that's sort of imposing. I wasn't sure if it's a biological thing or if it's really bad 50s sculpture.
So it's great you're using other people's art.